Hello everyone, today I'm going to be proving that you don't need rare wildcards to win in Historic. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this deck. We are playing a Rakdos burn deck today. So what does Rakdos burn do? Well, it deals a ton of damage straight to our opponent's face. Right off the bat, we have the new card, Shrapnel Blast. This is from the latest anthology, and if we sacrifice an artifact, we can have this Shrapnel Blast deal 5 damage to any target, which in this case is our opponent's face. So 4 artifacts, 4 Shrapnel Blasts, that's 20 damage, that's the game right there. But obviously we're not always going to get lucky like that, so we do have other inclusions. We have Improvised Club that does a similar thing, sacrifice an artifact, but this is 4 damage instead of the 5. Now where are we going to get those artifacts? We have Vampire's Kiss. This will deal 2 damage to our opponent, we're going to gain 2 life, but more importantly, we're going to create 2 blood tokens, and blood tokens are the artifact core of this deck. Super easy to sacrifice, and we actually have a fun additional niche synergy with them, in that Alms of the Vein has that madness cost of 1, so by paying 1 to discard it with a blood token and draw a new card, we can actually cast this for its madness cost. So that's a 2 mana, deal 3 damage, gain 3 life, which is really great for us. Skewer the Critics will also get cheaper, coming down to be a Sorcery Speed Lightning Bolt if we can unlock that Spectacle cost. And then, how are we going to get some more cards and push into the late game? We've got Reckless Impulse and Ren's Resolve. Both cards do pretty much the same thing, and by pretty much I mean exactly the same thing. We're going to exile the top 2 cards of our library, and until the end of our next turn, we can play those cards. So that's a great way to get some additional value. Now we are only running 18 lands. This is because our average mana cost in this deck is so low. Our 3 mana spells can both be cast for 1, so really we don't have to worry about ever having more than 2 lands to be successful. Though the flashback cost on Bump in the Night could be fun if we do end up getting flooded to get that extra damage and close out the game. Now, Drossforge Bridge is an artifact, which is why we've included this. We can actually sacrifice it to Shrapnel Blast or Improvised Club to get that last bit of damage. And while I was going for the budget approach by just using basics for the rest of the lands, we can use other Rakdos lands instead if you want to improve this mana base, and I would recommend making that upgrade if you think about building the deck. The other thing to really talk about is the Flame Breather here. This is the only creature that's in the deck, and it's going to ping our opponents for 1 each time we cast a non-creature spell. So if we can resolve this and stick it on the battlefield, that's going to be a lot of good value. And as a 1/3, it's actually a pretty good blocker for us. This deck does surprisingly well into burn matchups, things like mono red and other aggro decks as well, since we have the ability to stabilize with the life gain on Vampire's Kiss, Sovereign's Bite, and Alms of the Vein. All of that life gain is going to give us a greater life total while we're just focusing on depleting our opponents as fast as we can. Now, if you guys have been enjoying my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my latest videos. And if you do like this video, make sure you give it a like. Let's go ahead and see how this deck does. Alright, here we are on the draw. We can actually keep this. I like having the 2 Flame Breathers. This shouldn't be too bad for us. If we can stack both of these on the battlefield, we're going to have a lot of value as we're casting our spells. Alright. Now I know 1 basic land doesn't really tell us anything. Starts with the Thoughtseize. I think worst pick for us is if they take the Ren's Resolve. I think best case they take 1. Yeah, there we go. They know what's up. Now, it looks like they're playing mono black, so they likely do have the removal. We're still going to play out our Flame Breather, make them use it. Our opponent is very low on cards. They took the mulligan, and they used Thoughtseize to get rid of Ren's Resolve for us. So, we are in a pretty okay spot still. Short, yep. Again, each card our opponent uses to deal with our board, they're not using to protect themselves. Or to develop their own threats, at least. Play out the next Flame Breather. We do want to see some artifacts soon. Sure. Bowmasters is fine. There's a Phyrexian Tower. I mean, we'll block like this. So that's fine. I mean, we'll just keep playing out the Flame Breathers. I know we're waiting a lot of turns before dealing that damage, but having that incremental damage on casts is really going to add up for us. Okay. Fable. Sure, so this is like a Rakdos mid-range deck that we're going up against. Okay, we do have Drossforge Bridge, so now we can cast the Improvised Club. I'm gonna end the turn here, though. Now with the 2 Flame Bearers, Lightning Strike is now going to deal 5 damage to our opponent. See if we can disincentivize the attack by double blocking. Sure, that's fine. They'll probably sacrifice for some additional value. Or not. Okay. Mayhem Devil. Let's just go ahead and deal 5 damage to their face. Down to 13. They can sacrifice and kill our Flame Breather here. That's fine. Now we do have an interesting choice. We can use our Lightning Strike to kill the Mayhem Devil. I think it's going to be better just to go for our opponent's face instead, though. Interesting. Another Mayhem Devil. Sure, they'll crack the treasure token to kill the Flame Breather. This is fine. Vampire's Kiss. Couldn't have asked for a better spell. That's giving us 2 blood tokens, so we'll be able to use both of our improvised clubs. End the turn here. Now, notably, this is 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage that we're going to be able to have between using one of these this turn and one of them, or the other 2 next turn. We will have lethal unless our opponent has life gain. Okay, well, let's start with the Lightning Strike. Alright, opponent down at 8. Now they will get some triggers on the Mayhem Devil. They can deal a total of 4 damage. Alright, and let's see if they have a way out of this. Yep. We're going down to 10. And we've got it. Alright, here we are on the play. This actually looks like a pretty good starting hand, so I don't mind keeping this. We're gonna start with the bridge, since we have no turn 1 play. Next turn, we're gonna go Sovereign's Bite. Looks like we are into a Rakdos deck. The fact that they're playing the Phoenix Chick tells us that... Let's see, I think we go Sovereign's Bite here. We'll take the early life gain. Next turn we have Ren's Resolve, try and find a land. Okay. Invasion. Sure. Yeah. Our healing is definitely going to be beneficial for us here. And the fact that they're focusing on their invasion. Let's see. Let's go Reckless Impulse. Okay. Bump in the Night. So far, looking very good. They shock in Blood Crypt, so they are killing themselves for us. Sure, Dreadhorde Butcher, that's fine. Alright, well, we do find Vampire's Kiss here. That's actually going to be really strong for us. Turns on Skewer the Critics. Now, notably, we have Shrapnel Blast. And we have Alms of the Vein. So that's 8 damage here. All we're gonna need to make sure that we can actually do this is one more land. I'm gonna discard the Ren's Resolve since these 2 spells are lethal, and I don't have the black mana up. Now, it is always fun to surprise your opponent when they have a discard effect and make you discard Alms of the Vein, and you just go ahead and cast that. Alright, unfortunately for us, we do not find that land. That's perfectly fine, though. Notably, Shrapnel Blast is an instant, so I think we're just gonna pass the turn here. Looks like our opponent has 14 damage. So that's 15 damage. We still have it. Oh, and we have won the game. Opponent plays out Kroxa. Yep. We're gonna discard Alms of the Vein. Yes, I would like to cast this for its madness cost. That's gonna give us some extra life. Now let's go Shrapnel Blast. Sacrifice a blood token. And we've got it. Alright, on the play, and this looks good to me. We're gonna go ahead and keep, since we have no turn 1 play, we're gonna go ahead and start with that Tap Draw Forge Bridge. Angry Gingerbread. Fun sleeves out of our opponent. Now let's see if they keep their opening hand. We also have Vampire's Kiss. That's going to be great because that's going to turn on Improvised Club for us. So as it stands, it looks like we go Bridge, turn 2 Kiss, then turn after that, maybe Reckless Impulse. We'll see. Alright, starting with that turn 1 Bridge. Con says hello. Okay, Inventor's Fair. So our opponent's likely playing an artifact deck. Yep. So we need to be cautious of the One Ring. Let's just start by playing aggressively here. Deplete our opponent's life total as quickly as possible. Yep. Okay. Okay, yeah, 7 damage isn't gonna do it this turn, so let's go ahead and do this instead. Okay, we do have 7 damage for next turn. And I could not have asked for a more perfect draw. And let's skewer the critics. We've got it. Alright, here we are on the play, and this is a very keepable hand. Now we are faced with an interesting choice here. I could have played the Swamp to play Bump in the Night, but we're going to go with the Tapped Bridge. It's going to unlock more options for us. Alright. Now here we're going to go Bump in the Night. Skewer the critics. Bring our opponent all the way down to 14. Now we are in a pretty strong spot for turn 2. Now we find the Vampire's Kiss, so let's go ahead and use that. Bump in the Night. This is 8 damage here, between Shrapnel Blast and Lightning Strike. We're gonna end the turn. Hopefully we'll convince our opponent not to gain life with the Elder Gargara. Okay. Pro Black. Best case scenario, they make the token here. They do gain the life. Okay. This is going to be very close for us. Let's go Lightning Strike. Shrapnel Blast. Down at 4. Now there is a draw that will conveniently get us out of this. That was not it, but this is still going to keep them very low, just like they were with the last turn. I'd love to see another Shrapnel Blast here. Okay. Yep, they're gonna gain the life. We do have this blood token, and we'll hold up the bridge. So we've got potentially 2 cards to find a way to deal that last 4 damage that we're looking at. Alright. And we find the Shrapnel Blast. Let's go ahead and sacrifice our token. We should have it here. Yep, we've got it. Alright, here we are on the play. Now we do have 2 copies of Vampire's Kiss and a Bump in the Night, but we do not have enough lands to warrant me keeping this. This is going to be a much better keep. Go ahead and bottom 1 of the Flame Breathers. We do have to be careful not to overinvest, keeping in mind that the Flame Breather is only really going to pay off if it can prevent 3 damage for us, or if it can deal 3 damage to make it better than its mana value. Though being a strong blocker is also very good. Alright. Let's go for the Vampire's Kiss here. And we'll attack. Hunt it down at 14. Okay. We do have Ren's Resolve that will now deal a damage. Okay, opponent milling us. That's actually fine. Let's see if they mill themselves. Or no, it's target opponent, so yeah. They are, in fact, trying to mill us here. Let's go Sovereign's Bite. I think that's going to be the way to... Actually, you know what? We're gonna pause for a turn. We're going to go for the Ren's Resolve here. Opponent down at 12. Okay. The One Ring. That's fine, that just means we're going to be casting one of these spells. Alright, before land drop, we'll cast the Reckless Impulse. We do find a mountain here. No attacks, end the turn because they have the One Ring. We do now have a Shrapnel Blast for our next turn, so that's going to be 6 damage with the Flame Breather. It's going to be very strong. Okay, looks good. Now let's not see another One Ring here. That would be less than ideal. Alright, well, first things first. Shrapnel Blast. Growth Spiral, sure. I'm gonna try and deal as much damage as possible here. Yep. Mill us, that's fine. Okay. Yep. The One Ring and Teferi's Tutelage is a very fun combo, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Especially since that ring's going to deal 2 damage to our opponent. Sure, Growth Spiral again. Yep. All this time, I'm not seeing a counterspell. And that would be what we're most afraid of. Alright. Well, let's go ahead. Let's play out another Swamp. Go Sovereign's Bite. Now our opponent will die due to the 1 ring on their upkeep, so they do need a way to gain some life. Sure, alright. They go ahead and stop the combat damage for 1. Now let's see what they're going to do about that 1 ring trigger. Looks like we've got it. Alright everyone, I hope you enjoyed. As we saw, Rakdos Burn is the perfect budget deck for Historic. It has a very straightforward game plan. Deal damage to your opponent until they die. Now while we will struggle into decks that have life gain and can stabilize against us, we're actually getting a ton of value out of some of the best burn spells available on Magic Arena. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you have any ideas for another deck you'd like to see me play, why don't you let me know in a comment down below. I'll see you all next time.